Here. This is a short video on pickaxe for modelers. I've been using pickaxe chips now for many years, and I find them invaluable for doing various little things around the model, but it may not always be obvious to some people how you approach it. So the first thing is always the planning, and once you've decided on what you want to build, then you have to think about what you want to happen, whether it's light, sound or whatever, and then you have to think about how you're going to get the wiring from those lights to the electronics. And is there space inside the model? Can you fit a switch in there? Can you fit a little circuit board in there? Can you get the batteries in there? And if not, then you're going to have to think about hiding it in the base. And if the model hasn't got a base already, you may have to think about, what am I going to build the base from? So what's a pickaxe chip? No, not one of those, silly. It's not a potato chip. It's one of these. It's a pickaxe. It's a microprocessor. They're very low cost. They're around £2.50 for the 08M2, and they work their way up in the different sizes. It works from 5 volts down to 1.8 volts, and basically is used to let an input control an output. And there are obviously numerous different types of inputs, and there are numerous different types of outputs, but in the middle is basically a microcontroller. So the next bit along the process is really to design the circuit. Now that's, you just got to play, you've got to have fun, experiment on the bench. That's how I kind of did it. I just started with a battery, a switch and a lamp. And it's how we learn, it's how we make mistakes, but when we get it right, yeah, great, happy days, it's no problem. But it might be a simple switch you control, but if you want something to happen on a regular basis, or you want a switch to start a sequence, then you really do need a pickaxe. So this is the pickaxe editor, version number 6, and this is what you use to record sequences that you want to program into the pickaxe chip itself. Now there are various different chips that you can choose from in the pull down menu over here on the left hand side, but we're going to stick with the 08M2 today. It's just going to be a really simple, get one switch to operate an output, and I'm going to put the switch onto C1, and I'm going to operate that myself, so you can see it's turned yellow, and when I click it again it's turned back to grey, and the output is going to be on C0. So let's make a start. So we're going to click on the start, and we're going to drag it onto the page and drop it down like this, and then we're going to double click on it, and here you can see that I can see each of the pins of the pickaxe chip, and I can modify whether they're an input as an I or an output as an O. So here you can see I've changed that input to an output, and I'm going to change it back again, and I'm just going to leave it like that. So the next thing we want to do is to have what's called a weight. So I'm going to click on the weight over on the right hand column, drag it onto the page, and then I'm going to double click it so that I can select the wait time, and I'm going to program that for 2 seconds. Now you'll see why we want the wait in a minute. The next thing we want to do is we want to have the program automatically look at C1 to see if C1 has gone high or on. So it's a decision process. So we click on the decision in the right hand column, drag it onto the page, and you can see it's a sort of a diamond shaped thing. Now we have to say which pin to look at. So we're going to tell it to look at C1, and we want it not to be in the off state but the on state. So we click it again and it shows the 1 for the on position. Now you can see here that there's a yes arrow and a no arrow. So when I click say OK, the next item I put on, which will be the high command, so we're going to go over to the right hand column again, click high command, drag it onto the page, and the decision is to turn something high, so it says yes. So the other decision is no. So we get our pencil tool and we draw a line from the corner of here out to the column here and then up and back in to the weight, and that's our no section. Now we want to associate this high command with an output. The output we can select from the pull down menu, and I want it to be C0, so we say OK, and it changes that automatically to C0. Next, we want to have another weight in here. I could drag one out from the side, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the one above. I'm going to use Control and C to copy that, then click on the square below and then go Control V to paste it. Now I don't want it to wait for 2 seconds, I want it to wait for, let's say, 4 seconds with the LED on. And then once I've done that, I want the LED to go off or go low. So here I've clicked on the low and I've dragged it out. Now the pencil tool, in order to get this to go back round again, now has to come from the low, up, from the low and up, back up to the weight command, so that it goes round in a circle once it's finished this period of showing the LED on. Now what we can do now is to check that we've got everything in here correct by using the syntax or the check syntax command up here. If I click on this, it says, there's an issue here, you've got something wrong. So I'm going to go and sort it out. It's showing me where it is. I double click the low, and here's the problem, I haven't associated it with the output. So I'm going to associate it with C0, click OK, and now I can double check the syntax again, and this time it says happy days. Great stuff. So at this point I could program it using a USB lead to go down to the chip itself, but in this particular video I'm going to show you how to simulate and run the simulation on the desktop. So here we are, we click to the simulate tab, we go to the run and we click run, and we'll shortly see a blue box appear which will go around. There we are, it started, it waits for 2 seconds, went to the decision, goes back to the wait, because C1 has not been pressed. But if I press C1, here it goes down and it waits for 4 seconds with the LED on, and before it automatically turns it off, and then it goes back and sits there and waits for this to be turned back on again. So that shows you a very simplistic way of changing this round. Now you know I've left the switch on, so when this box got round to the decision, it automatically went straight through, and so it didn't wait. It was saying, right, that's it, I can go and turn the LED on. So, but now I've turned the switch off, it sits and waits at the decision section. So that's it for this part of the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.